Well, welcome to part two of Now You Know. We had Matt Dubois, Skowhegan Florist and Bankery on part one, and we're very fortunate to have Ginny Jewell from Ginny's Natural Corner on part two. And Ginny, we're in a wonderful newer location for you. I think you've been here about a year and a half now?
About a year and a half, yes.
Yeah, I think it was somewhere, was it May?
May, Memorial Weekend, we moved.
Yeah.
It was an adventure.
Now, you've been in business 8 years?
8 years. We were just in October are celebrating our 8-year anniversary.
And it's been an adventure.
Yes.
And you have been in 3 different locations.
We have been.
You started out in the Skowhegan Plaza over on the south side of town, and you were there for how long?
We were there for just shy of 3 years.
Okay.
We started in October of 2012, and we moved in October of 2015 when the parking lot flooded. It became necessities because we couldn't get trucks in and out and deliveries in and out.
And that was a big thing when they had that flood in 2015. I mean, that wiped out a pretty good sized section of that parking lot, which unfortunately happened to be right in front of your store.
It did.
And so parking was definitely an issue, and even seeing you to see if you were open became a problem.
It did, and because of the time frame of it happening, I was having a lot of going on in my personal life. But that happened on September 30th, and we moved the weekend of October 15th.
Okay.
To downtown, going down around the Rotary. So
Okay.
in 2 weeks, we got another store space up to code and moved in.
Okay. And so you moved into downtown, the middle of downtown Skowhegan,
Yes.
and you were much appreciated as a new retail business
Yes.
in downtown. And you were there for what, maybe 4 years?
We moved in October of 2015, and I moved out May of 2019.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And you were there for a while, and then what happened was the what is now called the Community Charter School bought the building and has put a lot of money into renovations of the
Yes.
building, and eventually needed more space. So unfortunately, the retail parts on either side ended up getting taken over.
Right.
But what might have looked at maybe as misfortune for you at the time ended up turning into a pretty good circumstance.
It ended up being a blessing. We knew we would be outgrowing that space soon, so that was not a surprise for us. It was the motivator, when we were contacted going, hey, we're expanding, we're redoing the electrical, we're redoing this. It was the motivation we needed to really be serious about looking for a larger retail space. Because we had used every available wall space. We're using like every available legal space that we could, and it ended up being a blessing because through this pandemic, if I was in that smaller space, there's no way we could have kept anybody 6 feet apart. We're able to move all our shelves in 6 feet cubes, and we're able to really social distance. So it ended up being a great thing.
And now you're up on Upper North Avenue.
Yes.
And you're where the former Evelyn's Furniture was.
Yes.
And for those of you who eat a lot of pizza, you're behind the Slice Bar.
Which is great pizza.
Which has great pizza, so we'll advertise them as well.
Sorry.
And so you're really in a very nice location with a fair amount of parking.
Yes.
For a change.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah, and so you've got that, and now you're in a building. You're in part of the Evelyn's Furniture building. But you're in a space that's what, 2-3 times larger than what you were dealing with in downtown Skowhegan?
At least 3 times larger, yes.
Okay.
It's wonderful. We're not using the whole retail space yet, but it gives us the opportunity to grow and expand as time goes on.
Now you've got all the extra retail space, and we're sitting in the spice area, and eventually we'll identify some of that stuff. But it is very light and airy in here, and plenty of room to maneuver around, and with the type of lighting in here, you can actually see everything.
Yes, and we're still
available.
Upgrading the lighting. Like I was telling them before.
Yeah,
so
you're saying you're going to LED lighting.
We are.
Yeah.
It's a process.
And now you've got office space, and you've got storage space, and and so forth.
Yes, it's wonderful. We do. We have our own office space and break room where before we literally couldn't even have I had to legally, so it was like a card table with a chair. So now we actually have a full office and a full kitchenette, and then we have a full storage area for extra shelving. And in fact, I've got extra freezers running right now for the holiday turkeys out there because they just got shipped to me today. So
Well,
it's
tell us
pretty
about
exciting.
that, actually. Holiday turkeys, I didn't even know you were in that business.
Oh yes, we have organic and natural.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you
so-
get those locally, or?
We often do. This year it didn't work out with COVID, and the people already had bought them up. So I had pre-ordered these back in July. You have to decide what you're doing back in July. So I didn't buy too many extra because at that point I didn't have the extra freezer space.
Yeah.
But we were able to get a freezer, a big 2-door freezer, nice commercial, and that's out, all inspected, all running, all temperatured perfect. So.
Now tell us about your hours. When are you open?
Oh, right now it's all over the place. Starting November 1st, we'll start our holiday hours. And so starting November 1st, this Sunday, we'll be open 10 to 4 on Sunday. And then Monday through Thursday is our 9 to 5.
Okay.
Friday will be 9 to 4.
Okay.
And then Saturday we're closed.
Yeah.
But as my daughter told somebody the other day, if somebody gets out of work at 5, give us a call. We're often here till 7 at night doing floors. This weekends we were in here waxing the floors. We're in here. This morning I was in here at 5:30 in the morning, so I often have people in here by 6:30. You have to just step over freight at those hours, but we are here, so just give us a call, and we try to accommodate because we know people work, we know, and because of COVID, we're really down to short staff, so we can't be open much more hours because I just don't have the staff coverage right now.
Tell us a little bit about your history. I understand you go back in natural food business quite a ways, and you were involved with the original health food store in Skowhegan, Spice of Life.
Yes, actually it goes before that.
Oh, even before that?
Before that, the old New Moon Rising in Waterville by the railroad tracks.
Okay.
I actually remember when it was the old depot.
Yeah.
I started once, it became the New Moon Rising. I started in 1993
Yeah.
as stock and clerk.
Yeah.
And then one of the workers had gone on vacation for Spice of Life, and they're like, hey, we just need somebody to fill in just for the 3-4 weeks he's going to be gone. So I filled in that there, and that's when they were over located at the Thai restaurant. I
Right.
was there. And then I went away to college, and this fall of '95, they moved up to where the smoke shop is now.
Right.
And they called and said, hey, we're really busy. When you're home from college, do you want to fill in? So I arranged my college schedule around a work schedule. So I would work Fridays and Sundays, and I went to school Mondays through Thursdays. And I drive back and forth from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So I could work. And so I was with them for 17 and a half years.
Yeah. And then they went out of business, and
went
then
out.
it started a flurry of natural food stores
Yes.
coming to town. And at that time, we had 3, didn't we?
We did. It was a very interesting time. At the time that I was laid up with knee surgery, had 2 babies. I had 2 teenagers, 2 babies, laid up with knee surgery, and somebody goes, we have no health food store. Like, well, you're laid up, you need to start one. And so from my living room, I was like, whatever, and I started to, how to start a business. And before I knew it, I had applied for my license, and we found a building, and within 7 weeks, I opened for business.
Yeah. But with 3 health food stores for a period. This is back in 2012, right?
Yes.
And I remember at that time talking to my wife, and I said, I mean, Skowhegan can support at least 1 health food store, but I don't believe there's any way they can support 3. And sure enough, that ended up being true. But you were the last person standing, and your business is pretty much, it sounds, have flourished since that time.
It has. I think even before the 3 kind of went to 1, we all had our own little niche. We all did
Yeah.
our own little thing. At first I was like, oh no, but I even collaborated with them. Like if
Yeah.
I ran out of something, I'd be like, hey, do you have twist ties? Or hey, are you putting in this order? The same thing I do with our local health foods now, Better Living Center in Farmington or Uncle Dean's in Waterville. I have a great collaborative. I think, even with our local businesses here in town, that, we need to be supporting each other, especially during this pandemic. And I kind of did that. That's just my motto of community. And
Speaking of collaborating, you do you do joint purchasing then with some of these
Oh,
others?
yes,
That
yes.
must keep the cost down a bit.
It does, because my store is so small. I mean, not small as in, but where I'm still starting out or this and that. I'm considered like a micro store in the world of Whole Foods and things like that. So even though I have a lot of variety, so I join together with, like, for instance, Better Living Center in Farmington. We meet with the reps and we do case stat deals together. They have certain vendors that I don't. I have certain vendors that they don't. So we do things like that. Uncle Dean's has been wonderful to let me, if somebody needs something, I'll call. And they're like, yep, we'll set it aside for you. And so customers aren't paying any more to run to Waterville.
Yeah.
And it's just a courtesy that we provide for our customers to meet the needs.
Now you're a local store with local workers and local customers. I mean,
Yes.
how far away is your customer base? Does it
We
go?
have some coming from Bangor that come down to the natural dentist. We have some that come up for the summers and I mail them stuff throughout the winter.
Yeah.
We have Cambridge, Athens, Madison, of course, Mercer, Fairfield, as well as Skowhegan, of course,
Yeah.
Canaan, Heartland, I have a few in Heartland, St. Albans.
Yeah. And some pretty loyal customers, I assume.
Some very loyal customers. Yes, I would not be able to do this without the support of, again, my faith, my family, my friends, the community. I mean, my customers have been extremely loyal. In this community, I've been doing this, again, since 1995 in this community. So you meet a lot of connections, you make connections, you know when somebody's getting married or somebody's graduating from high school. We send out birthday cards, we send out sympathy cards, we send out get well cards. I mean, you get to know your people and you care for your customers.
So you can really have personal service here.
Yes.
So if you have somebody that comes in and says, look, I have this particular spice or herb that I haven't seen in your shop, could you research this and see if you can get that for me? Do you have those types of requests?
I love them.
Yeah.
The harder to find, the more of a challenge it becomes. I am trying to keep up. Janice, one of my older workers, has taken time off due to the threat of COVID and due to her age and her husband's age. But she found it as a great challenge. But she still is available by phone, and I use her quite often. That's how we ended up with a lot of different spices and teas. She opened up a whole bunch of new spice and tea companies just in order that we could meet the needs of the requests. She has a whole bunch of little companies, so I'll often call her going, where did you get that for so-and-so? And she's like, oh, that's that little company. I saved the passwords on your computer. Just go in, or I'll just order it for you. I'll have it shipped to you. So she was very good. She was one that we had delegated. So now I'm trying to meet that need. So the turnaround time isn't as fast. Number one, I don't have as much time to search, but also with shipping costs and meeting minimums right now. And then once you get things ordered, waiting for it to come through the postal service or UPS or FedEx has been a little bit more challenging. But we do try as best as we can.
So the personal service really distinguishes you from, say, some of the big box stores that now, if you go to Hannaford, for example, I'm not picking on Hannaford, but or Shaw's or whatever, now you see a much bigger line of natural products than you used to. How does that impact you?
Well, they have their trucks go right to my warehouses. There's no way, and I'll be honest, there's no way. I've been working with a lot of reps, so we are being a little bit more competitive on a lot of our stuff. But you don't get greeted by name at the door.
Exactly.
You don't get, oh, by the way, your chips are on sale. Would you like it? Or, hey, I brought in this new vegan cheese. Would you sample it and give it, sample it for free or at a reduced cost and just give me feedback on it? It's a line I'm thinking of carrying. Or one gentleman, it's one of his vitamins that he loves, and one of my companies actually sent me a free bottle due to the amount that I ordered, and I set it aside so when he came in, I'm like, hey, I got a free bottle for you. It's that personal touch. It's that, how are you today? Oh, how'd your surgery go? It's you're not going to find that at Walmart. Or, hey, I'm making this, I don't know how to make, somebody came in the other day, hey, I want to make some wine, I don't know how, and I'm like, well, give me a second, call in my resources, because I knew another customer who made wine.
Yeah.
And she dropped off the recipe for me. It's just that personal.
So would you say a lot of your customer base really appreciates that personal service, that
do.
they're not price shopping? Because I'm sure they can go to big box store and sometimes get things less expensively than here, but you don't have that personal touch, willing to go out of your way, greeting you by your first name approach
Right.
that you folks have here.
Plus, a lot of our stuff, especially our spices, if you buy them by bulk, you're saving our oatmeal by buying by bulk.
Yeah.
We get them in big 50-pound bags. So some of the stuff is still less expensive. We have specialty items like your McKay seasoning for vegans that big box stores don't carry.
Yeah.
We have items that big box stores used to carry, they keep for a couple weeks, and then all of a sudden they disappear. We have people coming going, I used to get that at one of the big box stores. Can you please try to find it? Yep, no problem.
Yeah.
So sometimes
Yeah.
that helps.
Oh, yeah,
Because
absolutely.
I don't mind. I tailor my shelves to suit what my customers want. I have a cracker that I have two older gentlemen. That's the cracker they want. So I put it in a non-prominent spot, but I always have it on hand for them. And usually throughout the duration, rarely do I ever have to put it on our 50% off rack, because throughout the month they buy the whole case.
Oh, that's nice.
So I do. I try to tailor to what my customers want.
Yeah.
And I leave extra shelf space to accommodate new items coming in and new taste. And I find different customers come in for the summer. My snowbird's home for the summer. And I'm like, I gotta remember to bring such and such tea back in because that's what so and so wants. So
So you're catering to your customers.
I try. I try.
So let's talk a little bit about your product line. I mean, we're sitting in front of the spices, for example, but
Yes.
what are some of the things that you carry here?
Well, we're pretty much, in all like a small grocery store.
Yeah.
But we also tailor to the health food piece of, we have over 200 herbs and spices, over almost 100 bulk teas. We have fresh ground peanut butters as well as regular peanut butters. We have your bulk molasses, your bulk tamari, as well as regular tamari. Your baking products, your flours, your sugars, your flavorings, your brown sugars, your butters, your eggs. Nuts, we have bulk nuts from almonds down to walnuts, dried fruits. We have box teas. We have a gluten-free section, a vegan section. We have local cheeses, regular cheeses. Just looking around, we have pastas and pasta sauces and soups, snacks, crackers and cookies. The junk food aisle, even though I own the store, like the chocolate-covered almonds and yogurt-covered pretzels, and every month we bring in a new feature month. This month was...
But it's healthy junk food, right?
Well, it doesn't, it's actual real chocolate. It's
Right.
not chocolate flavored with wax.
Right.
The majority of stuff doesn't have your food colorings. It's flavored, colored with like beet juice or turmeric or something like that. So it's the natural stuff. Agave gummy bears. We have one little boy with severe allergies, but he can come. His mom picked up a bunch of stuff for his Halloween basket because he can eat it because it's gluten-free, nut-free, soy-free, dairy-free, coloring-free. So it's really nice to be able to do that. But we also have a lot of supplements as well and personal care items, toothpaste, toothbrushes. We have vitamin C's and your zincs and your immune boosting stuff that's been known. But we also have your general multivitamins. We have your, digestive enzymes, aloe vera juices, things like that. We have shampoos, conditioners, body washes. We have a bunch of local soaps. We have a bunch of local items from different crafters. We just contracted with Peggy from Canaan, and she's going to be hanging some of her paintings and cards here for the holidays.
Oh, nice. Very
so
nice.
we're really excited because we have bare walls. So I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
this would be a fun collaboration to make my walls pretty. We have a few people doing some crocheting. So they have some of their stuff there. We have a few jewelry makers, local jewelry makers that will put things on consignment. So
Very
we have
nice.
a wide
That fills the
variety.
space up.
Yes, so that's fun. I had the opportunity, a flower shop went out of business, and so I bought some of their shelving. In the process, I bought odds and ends of their gifty stuff. So, you never know. Things are always changing. Things are always... we have a vegan section, a meat section. Forgot to mention that. I'm just
Yeah.
looking at the freezers. But, yeah, we're basically a small little grocery store that we have local coffees.
Do you have people that come in here and shop A to Z for their product line, or are you just kind of a supplement for some people to go to a regular grocery store? Or
We
how does
have
that
a
work?
few customers that will stop here first.
Yeah.
Because of the size of my store and coolers and refrigeration issues right now, I have a cooler down, so I can't bring as much fresh produce as I typically would like. So they stop here first, get what they can,
Yeah.
and then supplement, go to the other stores and use that as a supplement. We have quite a few customers who choose to do that. We have other customers that on their way home from work will stop in 4 nights a week and get their supper stuff. So we have both. We have some that just pop in to grab a few spices. We have some that will stop by for literally a water. You never know what people, we have other people, like a lady today ordered 50 pounds of rice, 50 pounds of beans, and we have a lot of people who are doing bulk ordering right now. And we have a thing for that too. We have big carts and we have it all tagged so we can actually do a no-touch, literally, and load it in the back of people's car for them. We've been known to do that. We do curbside deliveries. I do some in-town deliveries for a small fee if it's within my area. I have a few older people that are unable to drive anymore. She used to be a regular customer, and as time is, so every week I do her delivery locally.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah,
Now, there,
so
once again, that's the local flexible touch that you have here.
we do. We try.
Now, I read somewhere that you had this like free soup day.
Yes.
And does that still go on?
Because of COVID, we had to stop.
Yeah.
We're
going to get into the COVID thing. In just a
Okay.
second,
No,
but-
I'm just saying that has totally jumped. Yes,
Yeah.
we had a wonderful couple years of running that. It started out with, it was cold, and I wanted to do free soup, and I was told I could not do that because of codes. So we actually found that as long as I give it away, I can, and we do not charge. So it started out with, literally I had some, I don't know, some root vegetables that are like, so let's throw them into a soup. And
Yeah.
it started smelling so good, we started giving it away to some people that were close to us.
Yeah.
You know, when we were downtown, a couple of people that lived within the area. And then it kind of expanded. People, so-and-so got free soup, and it expanded, and people donated money towards it to buy the spoons. Somebody else donated a bunch of containers so we could make to-go containers. Somebody else donated bread one time so we could serve bread with it. And it just kept growing and growing. By the time we were done, we would do 2 huge crock pots a week. I mean, we did it on Thursdays, and it was just really, really great to do that. So.
That's nice, and that's, once again, that's the local aspect of your store.
Yes.
Let's go on to the COVID issue, and that was part of the reason I wanted to interview you and other local businesses. How has COVID-19 impacted you?
We were already doing bulk orders, so we were used to doing some of those. But then you add the curbside to that, and you add the ordering on the phone, and you add the extra time it took to order because there were so many out of stocks.
Yeah.
And you had to really, I pulled in a lot of my resources. I contacted my other stores, and if somebody was able to, for instance, get a pallet of flour, we'd split it. Or if somebody, because by the time my order day came along, they'd be out of flour.
Yeah.
So we were, you know, I pulled in my resources. Hey, do you have this? I need this. What are you looking for? We'll see what we can do. So we did. So that was a huge challenge, just keeping my stuff on my shelves.
Yeah.
Waiting on people, that was a huge challenge.
Yeah.
With half the staff. The extra cleaning practices, you know, getting the shields up, which was an added expense. You know, just being safe. Rearranging all my shelves to 6-foot cubes took time.
Oh, I
Figuring out
bet.
how to, hey, if we put an end cap here, that'll be 6 foot. If we tweak this a little bit, that can be measured. Because of the PTSD, I can't wear the mask, which I did try, but mentally it was not feasible. I was in an automobile accident in 2002, and I was trapped in my vehicle. I looked like a jigsaw puzzle, so I can't even have my face touched. So for me, it was a really big challenge to not be able to do that. So we set things up so we could comfortable. We have signs hanging so people can shop without me having to be on the floor.
Yeah.
We have a screen up, so I spend a lot of time ringing people out because I can stay behind that, or in my office. So, we just had to tweak things quite a bit to accommodate. And the spices behind you have all had to be pre-bagged now. We used to let customers come in and fill their own, but because of COVID. And that's an added expense of almost 20 hours a week in payroll to do all this.
Oh,
And
I bet.
People don't realize, I mean, when you're talking, and I'm going through probably 30, 40 pounds of spices a week. And that's a lot.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, absolutely. Now, you were one of the beneficiaries of an anonymous donor through Skowhegan Economic Development who gave you some money.
Oh, yes. I still get choked up and get goosebumps when I talk about it. So I was having a really rough time just with life. Because of COVID and stuff, we usually have the art school of sculpture, their kitchen account, which they, buy most of their stuff here. We have a couple whitewater rafting accounts. We have summer camp accounts. We have a bunch of restaurants, caterers, that we give them a discount for the bulk that they buy. I can't call it wholesale because then you need a whole other license, but it's a minimal markup. It's basically a courtesy that I offer to other businesses. So because of that loss of revenue, and I was just like, hey, how am I supposed to keep things going at the right way? Somebody had drove into my front windows. I was able to get money for insurance to fix one, but I had the other window, the siding to do. We did half the lights, but then I was expecting my summer crew to have the revenue to help pay for that. It didn't happen, so I was having a really 2582. Sorry. I was multitasking.
That's okay.
I was, so I was like, what am I going to do? And then I get a call from Jeff Hewitt going, yeah, somebody donated some money. I need you to show up to the award ceremony, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yep, because I was multitasking, and it didn't really register. And then like 2 days later, I called him back. I'm like, Jeff, you said I'm supposed to be showing up somewhere for something, but I was such in shock. Number one, I was multitasking. And number two, that I was such in shock that I was worthy, or that somebody would gift me. Yeah. That it just kind of was like, it was almost surreal to me. Yeah. So my mom and I talked about it, and we were like, okay, probably $100, $500, and we're like, okay. So I had the staff make a wish list, and we all kind of did a wish list of like, hey, if we had $100, what would we use with it? Hey, if we got 500, like. We had a whole list. Even with 500, we could get a lot of fun, different things like my siding done. We could get a new price gun that keeps jamming up on us. We could get a new freight cart. Sure. You know what I mean? So we're thinking $500, like, we could get an air conditioner, another one because it gets really hot in here. So we're thinking all this if we had $500. So we go, and I ended up having an anxiety attack that morning, and I couldn't. I called my mom. I said, you're going to have to accept the award for me because I cannot. I have significant anxiety, and it's crippling at times.
And this is before you knew the real amount.
Yeah. And I was like, and my mom being my mom, she was like, get out of bed. I'm going to meet you there. You have literally 17 minutes to get to Skowhegan. And I'm like, I'm not even dressed. She goes, you already laid out your clothes the night before. Like, hop in them. Let's go. So I get there. And again, I was very nervous, and I was just having a rough morning. And so they call you up on the podium. We did it at Coburn Park, so we could distance, and it was stuff. So we walk up on the little gazebo, and they talked about a little bit about the businesses, and then they handed me a certificate and an enclosed check. And I went to step down, and Jason from the chamber says, tell Ginny how much she got. And they said $10,000. And I think, like Jason said, for the first time in my life, I was speechless. You were speechless. Yeah. I mean, unbelievable. Like, I still get choked up because that somebody would gift, and that the group that voted on this would find my work valuable enough, and to find my business worthwhile for that amount of money. It really was what we needed. We really got a lot of projects done that we had just put on the if I ever wish list. We were able to get a new packaging machine. Okay, and I say new, it's new to me. It's old. We had researched and kind of like if we had the money. So we had checked out different people's scales and how they liked them and how they printed and the durability, and watched the reviews. And when we got gifted that, we immediately called Uncle Deeds and said, what type of packaging machine do you have? And I actually found one on eBay, a used one, and we can put the ingredient list now, so we're finally up to code.
Oh, fantastic.
Like real, we can put the ingredient lists on things, we can put cooking instructions on things, and it's unbelievable. Like, we were able to get not only one utility cart, but two.
Wow, very good.
So we were really excited. We saved a little bit of money for emergency fund. Mm-hmm. We were able to get all our utilities caught up. We were able to put oil in our tanks for winter. We were able to stock our shelves. I was able to take advantage of some of the deals going on. Like when my rep called and said, hey, by the way, flour prices are going to be jumping, I was able to say, send me a pallet. And not be like, okay, who, do I tell my daughter I'm not paying her this week? Because where she's my daughter, we can do that.
A little more flexibility.
A little bit more flexibility there. So it was just, it gave us that flexibility. It gave me motivation to keep going and really feel valued. It really allowed us, I was able to treat the girls and I say the girls, Jason, one of my workers, has a limited diet of what he eats. He doesn't eat all the junk we eat, but Giffords was having a sale on ice cream, so I was able to buy them, an ice cream treat, which we keep in the staff freezer. So if we've had a really difficult day, we're like, I think it's time for an ice cream break. I was able to.
I do stuff like that too.
It wasn't an expensive treat, but it's something that we would have had to really think about, like, can we afford this week type of thing. So it gave us that flexibility, so I could really treat the girls to something,
Well, that's what community is all about, really. And that somebody would step forward like that, not accept any credit for the actions taken, and just want to help out their community and local businesses is really something. And I certainly know how appreciative you are, and the previous person I interviewed, Matt Dubois, the same way. They were just so grateful for somebody to step forward like this. With everything going on with COVID and loss of business for at least a good number of the businesses, then this was a big help. Well, Ginny, I think we filled the time.
Okay, perfect.
And so I would like to thank you very much
Thank you for this
and wish you prosperity in the future.
Yes, our future will hopefully be buying the building. That's my next.
Oh, that's right. I was going to,
sorry. I just want to say that's in my future. We're really on a tight budget, but
that would be wonderful. And there's a lot of other space over on the other side of this wall, too,
we've
by
got
the way.
plans.
Oh, excellent.
To
Excellent.
support the community even more. So
Well, Ginny, thank you very much for being on with us this morning, and we wish you and the area businesses the best of luck in these COVID times. Very difficult, but hopefully vaccines are around the corner and things will get better. So we'll see. So anyways, thank you for being on another edition of Now You Know. And by the way, now you know.